This discussion will be a short one. We are discussing the proper association of day and night as they relate to the calculation of time, astrological time, on our beloved planet Terra Earth. There is a very tricky information that has been circulating by so-called spiritualists in the African continent, and to be more specific, the Ghanaian spiritual community, that the calculation of time for spiritual endeavors, when it comes to that, night comes before day, which is wrong. I'm here to tell you that that is not correct. Correct yourself before you mismanage planetary hours. Please lend me your ears, for this is important. When we speak of time as it relates to humanity, we speak of time as it revolves around life activities on earth. We are not concerned about periods before creation, because we are on earth and our activities are going on earth. Therefore we are within creation. Therefore we must operate and approach time from the perspective of creation and all the forces that govern time on our earth. So we speak of time as it revolves around planetary life activities on earth, primarily governed by both the moon and the sun, with the earth being the receiver of time influences. Information has been circulating that when dealing with planetary time, night comes before day. Any error in planetary time calculation will result in a misunderstanding of the proper use of the planetary hours in any type of astrological work. The wrong assertion that many spiritualists make is that before creation there was only darkness or night, and after creation there is light, so that means night came before day. The mistake about this assumption is that the period before creation doesn't deal with time at all. It doesn't even deal with linear time at all in a way that is useful for Earth and her inhabitants, because periods before creation dwell outside of linear time. And by linear time I mean from A to B to C to D, that is from yesterday to today to tomorrow. When we speak of time from our humanity's point of view, we mean the planet Earth's relationship with primarily the moon and the sun, as well as other star systems. And when we deal with Earth time, we are speaking about the fact that we have periods of activity and periods of rest, whilst the period of activity is the period that always begins. Many spiritualists in Africa, especially Ghana, make the mistake of making references from the creation story in the Bible to explain their stance on planetary time. Much of the Bible is coded, much of it is fabricated, so truth cannot be touched upon from such an angle when we decide to approach planetary time secrets such as this. Within creation on earth, time always begins from light into darkness, because creation by its very structure is activity done in light. During the day it is the sun that governs, since it is the period of activity, and during the night it is the moon that governs. But the moon's light is still the sun in a feminine way. It's still the domain of light, just that we are talking about daylight and nightlight, which is still light. Creation dwells in light, so humanity for most part can only operate during creation. Therefore time can only be calculated within the domains of creation, that is the domain of light. When the first light rises, that is the sun, we say that the day has begun. The day is the period of activity. And when the sun sets, we say that the period of rest or the night has begun. It is about the period of activity and the period of rest. When we are talking about one full day, it begins with the period of activity, that is the period of the sun, and the period of rest, that is the period of the moon. We are not speaking of the period before and after creation. If we use this premise, we are going to be wrong. From sunrise to the next sunrise is what we call a sum total of a single day. Pay attention. When we say one day astrologically, it begins from sunrise to the next sunrise as far as planetary activity is concerned. This is why from sunrise to noon in the afternoon we say that it is midday. We have hit the middle of the day, that is the period of activity. So the period of activity begins from sunrise to sunset. So when we hit noon, we have cross the middle or halfway of the period of activity. So noon will be hitting the middle of the day. So when the sun sets, the period of life activity of the sun of a particular geographical area in question, we would say, has come to an end. And then the period of rest will start from there, from sunset, which is a period of the moon, or the period of the moon's night, or the night light. Now, so from sunset to midnight, we will also say that we have hit the middle ground, or the halfway or between the night. We have basically cut the night in half, so we call it the midnight. So what we have at 12 a.m. of 12 midnight, when we cross 12 midnight, it doesn't mean that we have crossed into another day. We have just essentially divided the night into half. Not until the next sunrise should we have a full day or a new day. So even when we are dealing with 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., 3 a.m., it is still night, not morning. A day always starts from sunrise to the next sunrise. That is the correct planetary and astrological time for a full day, because sunrise marks the beginning of the period of activity, and after the energies afforded to nature within the period of activity have exhausted themselves out, the period of rest gets initiated upon sunset. So if you are to do a ritual or a spiritual undertaking or spiritual work, and you believe or convince yourself that the day actually starts upon sunset, please think again. Reevaluate the results of your rituals, because they've not been working as you think they are. You have been lied to by those who taught you such false information. The day does not begin upon sunset, it begins upon sunrise to the next sunrise. If you reach noon time, you have reached the middle of the day, that is the period of rest. Upon sunset, the period of rest have begun. And when you reach midnight, you have cut the night into half. It is not until the next sunrise will you reach a new day. This is why upon sunrise you find the birds sing, they chirp, they sing. All the rest of nature, the plant kingdom, everyone rises themselves in exaltation to receive the light of the sun, because sunrise marks the day. Thank you very much for listening. Subscribe, like, and stay tuned for more videos.